Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Kibin Alleyne, and today we'll update you what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, the CEO, along with a Greater New York Clinician of Reach Out and Read, speaks on the importance of early literacy and healthcare. Then the Director of Programs for Oyate Group speaks on the launch of their Oyate Global Rising Scholarship. After that, the interim chair of the Board of Trustees for Harlem's Children's Art Carnival discusses how they are committed to providing creative experiences. And finally, we speak to the executive director and program director for the Power of You Teens to learn how they are empowering young women as they step into their future careers. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Kibin Alleyne and today is Tuesday, November 26th. You are now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. Reach Out and Read is a national nonprofit that champions the positive effects of shared reading and engaging in other language-rich activities with young children. They believe that there is a strong connection between early literacy and healthcare. Joining me now to discuss this matter is the CEO of Reach Out and Read, Marty Martinez, and a Greater New York Clinician for Reach Out and Read, Dr. Vanessa Salcedo. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Now,
Thank you.
Marty, to start us off, can you first tell us a little bit more about Reach Out and Read?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach Out and Read is a national network organization that partners with clinicians all across the country to integrate early literacy and children's books into well child visits for children 5 and under across the United States. It's a very simple model that partners with clinicians, helps to train them on how to use children's books as part of these visits and giving children and families new books to take home with them. It strengthens early literacy, early bonding, early brain development, and really creates opportunities to create moments that matter for children and families each and every day.
Now, I kind of want to expand on that in this very fast-paced world. Why do you strongly feel that encouraging parents and guardians to get, involved with their kids in reading is so important?
Yeah, I mean, the science is clear, and Dr. Salcedo, I'm sure will say more about this, but the science is clear that, when a child is read to at a young age, well before they even know the words on the page, but when a child's read to at a young age, it stimulates brain activity. It creates more movement around a child thinking about, words and sounds and language as it develops. And it also strengthens the early bonding between a parent and a child, all things that are really important in the earliest development of children. But also, as we think about kindergarten readiness and the building blocks to learning to read, it really does create that solid foundation. If you've ever read to a child, as I'm sure folks have, that bonding and connection that happens during reading, but that has a magnified impact. And that's why we believe so passionately that children and parents should have these opportunities.
Now, Doctor, as mentioned, you work alongside Reach Out and Read. Can you tell us why you got involved?
Well, luckily, when I started at Union Community Health Center, it was already a Reach Out and Read site. So that means that we get donated books from the Reach Out and Read Greater New York chapter, and we provide them at every child visit, well child visit, as Marty mentions, under 5 for every well child visit.
Now, can you just explain how long this, partnership and how long this has kind of been going on with Reach Out and Read?
So luckily, my clinic has been part of Reach Out and Read since the early 2000s, before I was even there. But over the last 3 years, I became a champion, a provider champion, which really embraces every single part of the early literacy. We really train our staff. We have residents. We teach the residents on how to give the books to the families, how to engage and use it as a developmental tool. And as Marty was saying, it's such an important part of development. And I really want to tell the families and point out that 80% of the brain is developed the first 3 years of life. And reading is essential for that growth development.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Marty, can you just kind of explain how is Reach Out and Read committed to making sure families and children, particularly those who live in underserved communities, have access to these free books?
Yeah, I mean, part of the main work of our organization is to ensure that families have access to our model, regardless of zip code, regardless of where they get their care, regardless of sort of who the care is provided by. And that's making sure that we bring books that are not only diverse and reflective of the community, but also bilingual. In Greater New York City alone, last year, we administered about 325,000 books across the entire city. And those books were delivered in about 16 different languages across Greater New York. And making sure that those books can actually reach families so that when a family and child gets a book from a doctor, they see themselves in the stories and the images that are represented, and ensuring that those stories reflect sort of the community at large, but also that individual family. So for us as an organization, we really are taking an equity lens on how we grow, making sure that we're going to places that may not be able to get books, may not be able to have access to the program, and training clinicians and working with them so that all families have access to this evidence-based program. So it's very important for us to do that in all places, and that's really what we're striving to make happen, especially across New York City.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you mentioned the different languages, because we do have some books here
Great.
that are in English and Spanish. Now, I'm curious to know, for a young child, I know we think that, oh, this may be complicated, but how does a young child learn about different languages as they're kind of learning to read and speak in general?
Yeah, so their brain is rapidly developing. So the more languages they hear, the better it is. So when back before we used to think that no, they should only, like you mentioned, speak one language. No, the more exposure. And what's even more important is that many of our families are monolingual in their native language. And when they get a book that has their native language in it, they get excited. The grandma, the mom, the caregiver, feels empowered to read the book to their child, and it encourages their culture, as Marty mentioned. And you can see by the books here, which are bilingual and culturally relevant to our population.
And how does that promote healthy brain development?
Well, and like Marty mentioned, and what we were talking about, if you think about it, when the baby's born, they're not doing much. They're looking around, they're smiling, but before you know it, they're sitting up, babbling, and by 3, they're running around and saying cute things. And the way the brain develops is the way you interact with the baby. So the more you interact with them, the more you read, the more you talk, the more you give them things to play with. It helps the neurons grow. So millions of connections in the brains are happening when you're interacting and bonding with the child. And we know that this is essential the first 3 years of life. I know parents think if you give them a screen, like a phone, that might help. It actually shows the opposite effect. The brain develops that it gets used to that fast interaction, and what reading does, it helps you slow the brain down for complex thinking. So it is amazing, and we're really giving tools to families to help their brain grow.
That's amazing. Now, Marty, I'm curious to know, maybe through your work, how have you seen this impact a child's, maybe their confidence, how their willingness to speak to different people and learn more? How can reading impact those areas of a child's development?
Yeah, I mean, as an organization, we see it all the time. We see clinicians not only telling us the stories of their engagement with families, but also, seeing a child from birth to the age of 5, you see that development. And oftentimes we'll see our medical champions across the country talk about how they've seen, growth and development within the use of words, and then going from sounds, and then going from understanding letters as they get a little bit older. And then that connection that a parent makes with those child around sort of word development, and sort of being able to sort of see that in those visits. We also have a lot of research studies that show that over the past couple decades, our model really promotes shared reading. So parents who are exposed to our model are 2.5 times more likely to read to their child on a regular basis. That's very, very powerful. We say this a lot, that parents are their children's first teacher. And a lot of times parents don't realize that just spending time together, looking at the words, sort of making sounds, and being connected to that is really impactful for that development. As Dr. Salcedo said, as a father of a young child, I can't tell you how many times I've been a dinosaur, a fire truck, an animal, spending time with my son. But I know that the sounds we're talking with together, the words that we're sort of making up, it helps it get his brain moving and to think about language, and to really get him to have a love for reading, which also promotes that well beyond the ages of our program. So we know how powerful it is and what it does to strengthen a child's development.
Now, I'm so glad to hear that because I'm curious to know, could you just tell us a little bit more about the organization's goal to serve 10 million children by 2030?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now across the country, our latest numbers are just coming out. We serve about 4.6 million children nationwide. So that is about 20% of all children 5 and under in the United States. So our goal by 2030 is to serve 50% of all children across the country. And that includes in places like New York City, where we have to have a lot more books, a lot of diverse books, bilingual books, reaching a diversity of clinics. It also includes in other places across the country to get into rural places, support tribal health, immigrant health, doing a bunch of work across the country to meet the needs of communities and to grow rapidly across the country. We can't do what we do without great champions like Dr. Salcedo. And so in order to do that, we need more doctors, more nurse practitioners, more family doctors and pediatricians to be able to deliver our model. So we don't want just some children to have access. We want all children to have access. And that really means building a movement of more support, more resources to create these opportunities for families.
Now, Doctor, I kind of want to end on a note, just talking about the future of education in books. There seems to be a lot of threats on education or, just children reading, with the rise of technology. What do you hope to see for the future of books, in a child's life?
I hope that kids get engaged. I want to thank Marty and the Reach Out and Read program, because in our community, we give them, because of this program, their first books. And we give them books at every visit, so almost every 3 months. So they are building that library from early childhood. And we hope that this program and these books really help our children succeed throughout life. And without the program, I know that our kids wouldn't have the success that they do with development.
Well, with that, I want to thank you both so much for joining us. As I mentioned, there's a lot going on, with the state of education and, technology is taking over, so more children are interested in tablets. But it's nice to see that there is a space where we're growing for children to read. And I think the work that you both are doing are amazing. So once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again for having us.
Thank you.
To learn more about the work Reach Out and Read is doing, please go to their website at reachoutandread.org. Don't go away, we'll be back with more Open right after this. Welcome back. On Tuesday, October 1st, Oyate Group, Fundación Rica, and New York State Senator Luis Sepulveda launched the inaugural Oyate Global Rising Scholarship, a comprehensive program offering 2 full-ride scholarships for high school seniors in the Dominican Republic to attend the City College of New York. Augustina Warton, the Director of Programs for Oyate Group, joins me now to share more about this scholarship. Augustina, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, before we get into the details about the scholarship, can you just tell me how this amazing collab started to kind of help children or teenagers in the Dominican Republic?
Sure. So we started Global Rising Scholarship because Tomas Ramos, our CEO and founder of the Oyate Group, met with Senator Sepulveda and a representative from Fundación Rica in the Bronx just to talk about what are the needs of the Dominican diaspora. And once they sort of got to talking, they really centered around education and the importance of education for Dominican young people and how valuable it is for that experience to be in the United States.
Now, can you tell me a little bit more about the scholarship in general? Is it something that is strictly for teenagers in the Dominican Republic, or is it something that New Yorkers can get into as well?
This specific scholarship is for folks who are from the Dominican Republic and currently live in the Dominican Republic. So it's for high school seniors who have an 85% average and are graduating this year, and they can apply to be freshmen at City College for the fall.
That's amazing. And I also want to say I went to City College, so I was really excited to hear
Amazing.
that.
I teach at City College.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh, it's
yeah.
a great school, so I think this
We
is
love it.
amazing. Now, why was there a need to help support, youth in the Dominican Republic attend college in New York City?
Yeah, well, the Oyate Group's mission is to bridge the gaps of services and resources. And so one thing that we know is that education is really important for economic mobility, and also that the Dominican diaspora has such a large population in New York City. So to be able to come here brings some cultural relationships and strength in terms of recognizing your people when you come over, and so it makes it a little bit easier to have Dominican young people come from DR and sort of settle into New York City, because we have such a wealth of resources for Dominican, the Dominican population here.
Now, what is the importance of, having access to higher education just in general?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. We believe that education is for personal and academic growth is so important. You become a better contributor to your community. You have better options in terms of how you get paid and what you can do with your life. So yeah, it brings a lot of, like I said before, economic mobility and also opportunities for you to also bring back your skills to the Dominican Republic in this instance for our scholarship as well. So
that's amazing. Now, the scholarship also helps students with mentorship.
yes.
Why is it important to have this aspect help the students, and what does that mentorship look like?
We are going to be doing monthly mentorship meetings with both of the 2 scholarship recipients. These meetings are going to happen at Oyate's office and also in collaboration with City College and a lot of our community partners. And through that, we're able to offer a lot of different resources. It just really depends on who we end up giving the scholarships to. But we have a huge network in the city that we're excited to connect the students to once they get here.
Now, I'm curious to know, what are some other ways the students will receive support? Going to college, just in general, can be a huge milestone. And then to do it in a new city, I'm sure could also, have some impact on these students. So what are some other ways you assist the students on this journey?
Yeah, so in addition to a full scholarship for 4 years, plus visa assistance and room and board, a stipend, and then we give them paid summer internships. So it's really a full package, and we've worked with a lot of our partners to really think about what are the things that a young person might need if they're coming from a different country to the United States to study for 4 years. And we really feel like, and you probably know, City College is a wonderful place to bring two students to, because they have a lot of resources, particularly for immigrant students. And we're really excited to add them to the City College student life and have them offer all of their wonderful talents to the community there.
Now, you mentioned internships, which if you're in college or approaching college, that is probably one of the most important things that you kind of, just take on throughout your college journey. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about the importance of these internships and why they could, help you kind of help put you on the right path throughout that journey?
Well, through all of Oyate's programs with our young people, we offer internship opportunities, so it's a big part of what we do as well. And so for these young people, particularly coming from the Dominican Republic, it's really about networking and being able to establish a lot of different connections in the career path that they want to explore and that they want to pursue once they graduate. And with that, you know how it is when you're looking for a job, you reach out to people who are already in the field and say, hey, do you know of somebody who might know someone? Hopefully you have those kinds of connections, and that's what really gets you in the door oftentimes for your first position. So we want to really support that with all of the young people we work with, and we will definitely do that for our scholarship recipients as well.
Now, what are the requirements students need to apply?
They need to live in the Dominican Republic, they need to go to public school, and they need to have an 85% average or above to apply.
Now, I think it's so amazing that we're having this conversation here in the Bronx. As
Yes.
many people know, we have a large Dominican population here. What are some things, maybe if somebody's listening and they have a family member in the Dominican Republic, what's something they should definitely share about this scholarship that could help maybe, a kid in the Dominican Republic, feel encouraged to apply?
Well, it's open, like I said, to everyone who is in the Dominican Republic, who's in a public school and who's a senior. They can go to our website, oyategroup.org, and find out all the information that they might need. They can apply there. So if the person here wants to send it to them, they can totally do that. And if they want to get in touch with us, they're more than welcome to ask questions. It's a full scholarship, so we
Which
really
is
hope
pretty
to get
amazing, like a full 4-year
Yes.
ride that could definitely change someone's
plus
life.
room and board, dorm, everything.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I wish I wish I had that.
I do too.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, what are some other qualities you would like to see in a student, beyond their academic, achievements? What would you like to see from, students that are signed up for this scholarship?
Yeah, we're open to any major. It doesn't matter what you want to do. It's more so your passion for, take a look at Oyate's mission, giving back to the community, wanting to help your community, and being able to really express in your application your enthusiasm for studying, coming to the United States, what you can make out of that opportunity. Because we understand it's important to bring young people the resources that they need to succeed, no matter if it's in the Dominican Republic or in the Bronx. So if they can say that and articulate that in a way that conveys their enthusiasm and their interest, then it's an application base. There's a panel, and hopefully, they'll get their ear.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about City College's role in this. I know that you mentioned your background in City, with City College. Can you explain, what does it mean for this huge, college, really respected college in New York City to kind of be a part of this?
Yeah, we chose City College for all of the reasons that we've been talking about. It's a beautiful campus. They have a lot of resources for immigrant students. There is a wealth of different majors and minors that students can explore. It's a really diverse campus, so our young people won't feel singled out as kind of like key diversity, students, but actually part of the community, because there is also the Dominican Institute, the Dominican Studies Institute there at City College, and the administration is so helpful in thinking about what kind of supports students from other countries may have when they get there. So City College is just amazing, and we're really excited to be able to offer this partnership to students who are coming.
Now,
Yeah.
what do you hope to see for the future of this scholarship and the program in general?
Well, it's called the Global Rising Scholarship, so not the Dominican Republic Scholarship. So we're hoping to, in the future, partner with other countries to offer a similar scholarship to different young people in countries where getting a higher education isn't as accessible. So, accessing higher education leads to economic mobility. It also is important to strengthen relationships with other people. So, yeah.
And
we're
I want to
excited.
take a moment just to talk about Oyate Group in general,
Yeah.
since we didn't get into it in the beginning. But for those who may not have seen or heard about the organization before, can you just give us an overview about the work Oyate Group does to help the community?
Yeah, so the Oyate Group was founded by Tomas Ramos. Our mission is to alleviate poverty, and we do that through a three-prong approach, and that is working with young people, doing community initiatives, which are more fast response initiatives like giving emergency food or emergency funding to different organizations that might need it. And then we also have programs for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So all of those programs are really looking to bridge the gap in resources and also to partner with organizations so that the strengths of New York are connected and given to folks who need them the most.
Well, Augustina, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We've had the pleasure to speak with Oyate Group many
Yes.
times before, and it's always an amazing program going on. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about this one.
Thank you so much.
To learn more about this scholarship, please go to oyategroup.org/Dominican-Republic. Stay tuned. We have more open for you right after this.
.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Hey, creative family. My name is Timothy Coleman, and I'm the Director of Education here at BronxNet. And I'm standing in BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios in the South Bronx because I want to let you know about an amazing program that we're bringing back that highlights the creativity of community members just like you. Emerging Media Makers is a show that introduces you to BronxNet's certified producers. They've taken a step in their creative journey by enrolling in BronxNet's media training classes. On this show, you'll get to see the many ways that our certified producers have created a space that's all their own. Emerging Media Makers, your passion lives here.
Welcome back. We'd like to take this moment to look back at an interview with Michael Unthank, the interim chair of Board of Trustees for Harlem's Children's Art Carnival, where he shared with us how they are committed to providing creative experiences and resources to advance cultural and artistic development in Harlem. Let's take a look. Now, can you share more about the origins and the mission of the Harlem's Children's Art Carnival?
Right. Well, the Children's Art Carnival was founded in '69, as you said, by the late artist, the late Betty Blayton Taylor, who was one of the trailblazing artists during the Black Arts Movement in New York and in Harlem. And she founded the organization as kind of a community outreach, education outreach program of the Museum of Modern Art. And then in '72 established it as an independent organization at the location where we're still working at, 62 Hamilton Terrace in Harlem, in West Harlem. Her original mission was really about teaching life skills and self-expression through the arts for young people. And that's hence the name Children's Art Carnival. There's been a lot of changes since then, 40, 50 years of kids running up and down the stairs in our building. And after the passing of Betty Blayton Taylor in 2016, we've been trying to rebuild the organization. And we've been working to focus more on artists as well as residents and young people and their families.
Now, how are you commemorating, all of these significant milestones, especially, with serving children in Harlem for over 50 years?
Well, it's our 55th year, and who could believe it? It's a long time. I'm probably older than most of your listeners are. So, and I try to explain 50 years. It's not easy. But it's 55 years this year, and we are celebrating by having doing some fundraising. We have a big fundraising renewal event coming up on the 3rd of June in Harlem, and we have a GoFundMe campaign that's going on right now, and need everybody's support. We've been very successful in kind of relaunching what the Children's Art Carnival means. It's been a landmark organization. However, the past few years have been, I would say, since 2012 or so, we've been rebuilding, and so we've been had a little less of a profile. But in the past couple of years, we've been, as I mentioned, working hard to kind of incorporate some of Betty's ideas and broaden the scope to some extent to support a lot of the West Harlem artists, emerging artists who need support. So we have artist studios in the building, workspace for our artists in the building. We have we host the Hamilton Heights Dark Room, which is one of the only black and white dark rooms left in the city, believe it or not. So through the dark room, there are workshops for aspiring photographers where they actually learn how to take a picture and what a picture is, not just a digital image. So that's been moving forward. Also, we have a series of participatory workshops, which is open multi-generationally for everyone in the community. Upcoming, we have workshops every month in watercolors taught by a very well-known artist, Tomi Mori. And we have professional development seminars for some of our artists, and upcoming we will have a artist bio workshop coming up in June.
That's amazing. Now, I'm curious to know a little bit more about the professional development. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and does it help, these young people go into careers that are more leaning towards, artistic career paths?
Well, Betty's original idea was that not everyone who can benefit and enjoy the arts and even really be proficient doesn't necessarily mean they would take a career in the arts, but it's about a skill and your life. So one of the needs, I think, among West Harlem artists is that the resources that are really downtown are less accessible to them for a variety of reasons. So what we are trying to do is bring more resources uptown, such as workspace. Betty had a legacy with coming out of the Black Arts movement, and in a certain sense, almost as a byproduct, she created in a teaching environment, she created a laboratory for emerging artists at that time to create a voice, to get their work out, and to provide a laboratory for training for them. And a lot of them are very well-established artists now, and they are coming back to help us in a variety of ways. So one of the legacy projects that we've been working on is in combination with, in partnership with the Robert Blackburn Printmaking Workshop, which was founded by Robert Blackburn, who was a very close partner and collaborator with Betty back in the late 60s. And his workshop still exists. The workshop and the Children's Art Carnival, in a certain sense, had a parallel mission, which was to try to develop the voices of black artists and artists of color, to get them greater recognition, greater visibility. So our collaboration now, we're working with them to develop a printmaking workshop uptown. So there are a number of things that we're doing to really celebrate our 55th year and to move the carnival forward.
Now, how has the CAC influenced Harlem's cultural landscape over the past 5 decades? And I also really love to ask this question because Harlem has so much artistic just life, you know, in the area. Even just walking down the street, the restaurants, you know, kind of add to that artistic just environment, and there's just so much life bursting in, you know, I don't want to say the borough because it's not its own borough, but it kind of feels like that sometimes. So, you know, how has your organization kind of influenced the community and vice versa?
Well, you know, you're right. You know, you walk down the street in Harlem. I live right around the corner from the Carnival. I've been there for decades, and I don't think I would really want to live anyplace else in New York City. It is very much its own place. It's got a very clear identity. Although, you know, certainly in the past 10, 15 years, a lot has been changing in Harlem. We have more restaurants. We actually have banks, which when I moved in wasn't the case, with the exception of Carver. And so we've moved forward quite a bit as a community. Betty's establishment of the Carnival, and the Carnival became a landmark as a part of Harlem's resurgence as an arts and cultural center back in the 60s. The artists who participated in the Black Arts movement and the community supported the Art Carnival. Its building is very distinct and unique. Again, a lot of the young people that came through the Carnival became fairly well known and successful artists, and many of the artists who worked and taught at the Carnival have very successful careers and are considered to be master artists at this time. So Betty, as part of her legacy, also was one of the co-founders of the Studio Museum in Harlem, and at that time there were many institutions that have been built. Barbara Ann Teer's National Black Theater is another example, and those organizations and organizations in the Bronx, as I mentioned to you earlier, we have a partnership with Enfoco, which is a very well-known photographers collaborative, which started in the South Bronx, basically for Puerto Rican artists at the time, but Latino artists, photographers, and of course they've expanded their mission to some extent now, but all of those organizations were really founded for the same purpose in a certain way, to give more visibility and more resources to black artists. And so that's been the contribution, I think, in its own place of CAC in Harlem, and continues today.
Now, you know, throughout our conversation, you know, I really want to highlight the importance of recognizing Black artists. You know, can you explain why that is so important and why we should continue to kind of have this platform for so many people who want to explore that side of themselves, but may possibly not feel comfortable in other areas?
Well, the voices, the expression of black artists, artists of color, is what really, in a certain sense, brings alive the arts community throughout New York. The small arts organizations throughout the city, not just in Harlem, but throughout the city, support the arts and cultural infrastructure of the city in ways that are often invisible, but very, very important. To support the larger institutions, to support New York City as a cultural capital, really, in so many ways of the world. And Harlem is a great part of that. So we think it's very important to continue to provide resources for Black artists, both established, create a pathway, provide as much of a pathway as we can for established artists to work with younger aspiring artists, and to keep the arts alive as an aspiration for many of our young people. It's a great pathway, and so I think that it's critical in terms of the health of our arts and cultural community here in New York. New York is a very unique, very dynamic, extremely attractive place for people. Even in our crazy throes that we're going through right now, can't beat New York. And the arts and culture are a major part of that.
Right. Well, I want to agree 1,000%. I think that's what, as you mentioned, people come to New York. Unfortunately, it could be affecting, native New Yorkers in a certain way. But, I think that it's amazing that we have people come here and kind of want to share and kind of live that experience with us. And I, want to thank you for joining us and sharing a little bit of, what Harlem brings to the world right here in the Bronx. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
To learn more about the amazing organization, please go to their website at childrensartcarnival.org. We'd like to thank the team at Harlem's Children's Art Carnival for helping share with our viewers the amazing work they're doing. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. .5% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. .34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Welcome back. Since 2014, the Power of You Teens has been offering year-round programs and workshops, inspiring young women of color to think creatively and become tomorrow's agents of change. Joining me now to discuss these efforts is founder and executive director Felicia Gibson Jaycox and program director LaTisha Smith. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Kibby. Thank you for having us. We're very excited to be here with you today.
No, I'm super excited to get into this because it sounds like an amazing program.
Thank you.
I want to, talk about how, so far, just since launching, you've served over 2,000 girls. What inspired the creation of the Power of You Teens and the overall mission?
Well, I love to be very transparent with how the Power of You Teens was created. And I love sharing my story, Kibby, because hopefully it will inspire someone out there. I created the Power of You Teens it wasn't in a time of my life when I wasn't doing too well, okay? I moved to New York City over 25 years ago, and I moved here to work in television, and everything was going great. I had a great job, I had a great career, great friends, a great apartment, everything. Until January 13th of 2013. Could be that was the worst day of my entire life. I received a phone call that my beloved brother, my hero, Colonel Michael L. Dawson, had passed away. He had a blood clot that hit his heart in the middle of the night. He was only 51 years old and he passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And that really took me into a really deep and dark depression. And it was the kind of depression where you couldn't get out of the bed sometimes. And on one particular day, I was in the bed and I was reading the newspaper, and I'll never forget this teenager's name. Her name was Rebecca Sedgwick. And Rebecca Sedgwick had committed suicide at age 13 due to bullying, right? And then I read another story about a 17-year-old teen girl in Harlem who, because of stress and anxiety at school, she walked to the Hudson River and committed suicide. And I thought, oh my God, teen girls are losing their hope. If there is ever a chance that I can do anything to help teen girls, I'm gonna do it, right? And so here I am, I'm depressed. My husband says to me, I think you really need to get some help. My best friend found a women's support group for me, and I started attending the support group. And the creator of the support group said to me, Felicia, the best thing you can do is to, because you're grieving and you're depressed, the best thing that you can do is to serve other people. So I started volunteering at different organizations, and I really loved it. And I told the creator, Superna, I told her, look, this has been on my heart. I read about these amazing girls, and I really want to do something for girls. And she said, you're going to create an organization that's going to make a positive impact on the lives of teen girls. We had our first Power View Teens meeting in July of 2014. We had 14 girls. Today we serve thousands of girls in the Harlem community.
That's
our
amazing.
whole mission is to inspire girls to be confident, to be college-bound and career-focused. And now, not only are we serving girls in Harlem, but we've also expanded. We're serving girls in Detroit and Atlanta also.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
Thank you.
And
So I just
congratulations on
thank
that.
you. So I just want to tell anyone, your pain can become your power, and your pain can become your passion as well.
I want to say, thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story
you.
and, kind of showing, as you mentioned, how you can turn that into something that, not only your power, but empowering other girls.
Absolutely.
And, with that, I want to talk specifically about addressing the challenges girls of color face in low-income neighborhoods. LaTisha, can you tell us a little bit more about some of those challenges and how the organization helps with that?
Well, the organization is wonderful at that because we help individuals coming in who have self-doubt, low self-esteem, a lot of confidence building. So with our Power of You Teens Leadership Academy, the focus is on empowering young women to achieve, to thrive, to create and lead. And with that, they meet some empowering, trailblazing women from across the network. And we also focus on the mind, body, and soul, which is extremely important, talking about mental health,
Yes.
which is like really key. And you see so many beautiful, unique women who are struggling with self-doubt. And it's like, look at you. You are beautiful, you're amazing. So we have mantras every time we start our Leadership Academy to let them know that you are enough, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are powerful. And this movement is all about empowerment.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And I'd love to add to that as well, because one of my favorite quotes, Kibby, is by Michelle Obama. And Michelle Obama says, every girl, no matter where she lives at, deserves the opportunity to develop the promise that is within her. And that's exactly what we do at the Power View Teens.
Now, with that, I kind of want to expand on, of course, in addition to empowering these, young girls, education is also very important. And I understand there's a Power of You Teens College Scholarship. Can you tell me a little bit more about the scholarship and, kind of what are the requirements to be a part of that?
We would love to tell you more about the scholarship. Yes, so as we said, our mission is to inspire girls to be confident, to be college bound and career focused. So every year, what we do for our Power Girls who've been participating in our program are seniors that are going on to college. And I must say, 100% of the girls that have been in our Power Girl program have graduated from high school and either gone to college or gone to some type of secondary education as well. Right? So every girl, as I said before, I'm kind of getting mixed up here. Okay. Yes. And I was telling you about our college scholarships that we have, right? So this year we're raising funds right now for our college scholarships. We have 4 incredible Power Girls that we're raising funds for. We have Scarlett, who is attending the University of Plattsburgh. She's studying special education. We have Maya, who's going to Lincoln University. She's studying entrepreneurship. We have Soleil that's attending Lim College. She is studying fashion. And Alani, who is studying graphic design at Pratt Institute. So every year we raise funds for our Power Girls that are going to college. So if you're interested, you can go to GoFundMe now. We have a campaign called Invest in the Future of Girls.
I love that. And I love that they're all like kind of, taking on different things because it shows like no matter, what your vision is, as long as you follow it through, there's success waiting for you. So I love to hear that.
Thank you.
Now, you talked briefly about the future. What are you excited for to see, just in terms of the program, for the future of this program?
Well, here's what I'm really excited to see because our program is growing. As we said before, we started in the Harlem community with 14 girls, and we serve thousands of girls in the Harlem community. We've expanded the organization, and now we're in Detroit and also Atlanta. In 2025, we're looking forward to moving into Texas as well, in Houston. And the hope is, in the future, we're going to be able to expand the organization, and around the country, we'll have Power Girl chapters. So we'll have Power Girls all over the nation.
That's amazing. Now, I want to talk a little bit more, just, LaTisha, can you tell us, as a program director, how have you seen girls grow, as they've gone through the program?
Oh, wow. I've seen girls come in extremely shy, right? And then next thing you know, a few weeks later, the public speaking is amazing. They're building community. Emotional intelligence is there. Like, we have our Power Girl world, but the girls are now discovering their true potential.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's amazing to see, and it inspires us as well to be better leaders as well. And the thing is, it's not only to be the light, but step into your power and know that you are powerful, and to use your voice, because it's a bigger world out there, and it's not just the power of you teens here in New York, but if we get expansion, we can be a bigger collective with superheroes across the network. So we're looking forward to it.
Yes, and we have Power Girls. We have so many success stories. We have so many girls that are doing so many wonderful things. And for example, Alexandra, when Alexandra first came to us, she was so shy, she would barely raise her hand. And but we found out that Alexandra loves to play music. So because she's just been listening to music all of her life, and she wanted to play the piano. So we ended up buying her a keyboard. And her mentor taught her how to play the keyboard. And she started performing at our Power Girl events, which was absolutely amazing because she was so good. And she came to me and she said, "Miss Felicia, we don't have a music program at our school." And I said, "Well, Alexandra, what are you going to do about that?" And she says to me, "I'm going to talk to my principal about it." And she made an appointment with her principal. And to this day, Alexandra had them bring in a music program, and to this day they still have the music program at the school.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Isn't that great?
That's great. I love that it kind of expanded these girls to kind of, not just be confident within the program, but to take that outside of the program.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely.
Now, you briefly mentioned, the events. Can you tell us about your upcoming event, December 14th?
Yes. As Tish mentioned earlier, we have our Power Girl program. Our signature program is our Power Girls Leadership Academy. where we inspire girls to create, to lead, to thrive, and achieve. On December 14th, we'll be starting a new program. We can't wait. The program will have field trips, and we're also going to have trailblazing women that will be coming in to mentor our Power Girls and girls ages 11 to 18. The registration is open and available now.
Now, that is so cool. Let me just say, I wish I was a Power Girl.
Yes.
But, you know, just for anybody watching or anyone who knows young women and girls watching, what does it take to become a Power Girl, and how can girls get involved in the program?
You just have to be interested and wanting to just be a success story in your life and wanting to step outside of your comfort zone. So 11 to 18 across the network. It doesn't matter if you're in the 5 boroughs in New Jersey, in Connecticut. And I just wanted to also mention we have a vision board party with Deja Vu from WBLS, and that she'll be a part of our Leadership Academy as well. So they can contact Felicia at thepowerofuteens.org. And we're looking forward to this next chapter.
Perfect.
That's amazing. And then, you know, are there any future events in the works, and, you know, how are your current events inspiring girls to take initiative, you know, within their communities?
Yes, they are. We'll start our new program on December 14th. As Tish mentioned, we have our Power Girls Vision Board Party. That's going to be on January 18th. That's always an amazing event with Deja Vu from WBLS. And we also have our self-love event for Valentine's Day that's coming up in February. And we'll also have a new spring leadership program coming up.
Oh, I love to hear this. So there's like a bunch of events lined up. So if you can't make one, then you could definitely make the other one.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, I want to thank you both so much for joining us. I had such a fun time learning more about the Power of You teens. And, you know, once again, thank you so much for sharing your story and showing how, you know, from a moment of darkness, how much light, you know, has come from it, you know, many, many years later.
Many years later.
So thank you both so much for joining us. Can you quickly just let everybody know where they can go to learn more information?
Sure. They can contact me at felicia@poyt.org.
Oh, that's okay. And then social media?
Yes, we are on social media. On Instagram, we're very active on Instagram at Power of You Teens, at Power of You Teens.
All right. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gibbon.
To learn more about this organization and to help support their initiatives, please go to their website at thepowerofuteens.org. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recable cast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios Channel 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Over with Darren Jaime on Wednesday and with Rita Valentine on Friday. I'm Kibin Alleyne, wishing you and yours safety and wellness now and always. See you next time.